So let me explain how kids can be exploited in the digital world and why it's not misleading to talk about kids who were saved or rescued or spared. If kids were really saved or rescued or spared, and how people who read about things on the internet that they were not involved with and don't have actual information about should be more willing to be part of the solution, but also better understand the problem, especially before we throw thoughts and prayers and opinions at things that we're unwilling to step in and help solve those problems. Hi, my name is Kim. I'm a survivor of 20 years of child trafficking and cult abuse. Now I train law enforcement to help identify and combat child trafficking. Why? Because we need law enforcement when we do rescue ops. Otherwise, it's considered kidnapping. So since we need law enforcement there legally, don't you think it's important that law enforcement is actually prepared to be effective? Yes, we do. Okay, that's why I've stepped in to help solve problems. Why? Because there are problems. The difference is I'm willing to step in and help solve problems, unlike most people on the internet that have read about things and have a lot of opinions but don't have a lot of real world experience, much less the desire to actually step in to help solve problems. I wouldn't be here if someone else was doing it, so I really wish there would, but they won't. So here we are. That being said, in the digital world, there are many, many threats, and we should not only be willing to be aware of what those things are, we should be willing to acknowledge there's a lot of very inappropriate experiences children are having in the digital world, including exploitation and trafficking. Yes, children can be exploited and trafficked in the digital world, sometimes without ever leaving their parents' house. There are multiple cases I've worked on where children were trafficked from their homes and went home to have dinner with their parents, and or were still texting their trafficker during dinner with their parents. Why? Because traffickers now have and utilize these devices that give them direct access to children. So to parents, I'm asking you to please don't give the internet unsupervised and unlimited access to your children. I don't even mean to be sarcastic about that. It's just that there's so much that could be prevented if we were willing to be aware of the real threats, and that children are not capable of facing them, because these things, predators are very strategic. They will easily outsmart and overpower a child. The digital world has a lot of unsafe experiences that children cannot unsee, nor should we expect them to be impervious to. And number three, parents need to do a lot more parenting these days and a lot less reliance on the big bad system that they complain about to help solve these problems for us. We the people should be willing to step in and help, and not just sit back behind screens on the internet and give our opinions, but not actually do anything helpful to solve problems. So beyond the fact that in this op where about 244 predators were rescued and 109 children were spared, saved, rescued, whatever you want to call that, you weren't there. So I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm asking you to be willing to be aware that children can be exploited in the digital world, and that saving these children matters. I'm not sure why you have a problem with that. I'm not sure why some people want to split hairs over wording, again, about things they weren't involved with and have very little knowledge, if any, about. I'm asking people to do their part. I'm not asking you to dedicate your life and all your time and resources to this mission